Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning and welcome to the U.S. Naval Activities United Kingdom Change of Command Ceremony. Staff, attend. Hut. Will the guests please rise? The Worshipful, the Mayor and the Mayoress of Hillingdon. United States Navy arriving. Captain, United States Navy arriving. U.S. Naval Activities, United Kingdom, arriving. Parade the colors.
Count 'em on. Color guard. Ho. Raise and go.
Ladies and gentlemen, the national anthems of the United Kingdom and the United States. Post the colors.
Right, turn.
Chaplain Darcy will now give the invocation.
Blessed are you, Lord God, for you are timeless. Yet you make our us as human persons, respecters of time, by giving us days and years. We mark our moments and our events. We welcome your presence here as we honor and recognize Captain Lahada and Captain Welch, their families, friends, and loved ones. We are grateful for the dedicated service of these men who have given so much of their lives so that wrongdoers may not dominate just people. In your timeless love, be present for us now. Amen.
Will the guests please be seated? Ladies and gentlemen, Captain Lahada and Captain Welch will now inspect the formations. Ladies and gentlemen, I have the pleasure to present Captain Joseph G. Henry.
The Worshipful Mayor and Mayoress of Hillingdon, distinguished guests, members of U.S. Naval Activities United Kingdom, friends and families of the Lahadas and the Welches, and most importantly, Captain Don Lahada and Captain James Welch. It's truly a pleasure to join you here today. As you read your program before the start of the ceremony, you may have wondered, who is Joe Henry, and why is he here to speak to us today? As you can readily see, I'm not an admiral or a distinguished civilian official who normally is seen at the podium for these events. I am a captain of the line without portfolio. I even asked myself, why me? But upon reflection, I've come to the conclusion that it is most appropriate for me to speak here today, since this is not only a change of command, but a retirement ceremony for Captain Don Lahada and his wife Carol. Who better speak at such an event than someone Don has trained, someone who served with Don when he was in command at sea, someone who is part of the rich legacy that Don Lahada will leave behind. I had the distinct opportunity to work for Don when he was in command in the Mario G. Vallejo. I am indeed very proud to be here today. Thank you for inviting me, Don. Today we take part in an honored naval tradition, the Change of Command ceremony. the total transfer of responsibility and authority from one officer to another. This ceremony originated in the earliest days of naval heritage and establishes the foundation of accountability and command. But while it is the bedrock of Navy life remains unchanged, much else around us is in flux. The Navy is rapidly moving to a smaller number of warships and a concurrent downsizing in its personnel force structure. Since I am currently stationed at the Bureau of Naval Personnel, I feel compelled to quickly mention our changing force structure. During the 1990s, our enlisted ranks will decrease from about 500,000 to 400,000 personnel, a decrease of about 20%. Our officer ranks will decrease by about the same amount, a period of rapid and dynamic change. Richard Hooker, an English 16th century author, once wrote, "Change is not made without inconvenience." No element of the naval equation feels this more acutely than our people. Yet we are finding that in the midst of this uncertain times, the professionalism and dedication of our Navy men and women remain unchanged. The Navy leadership is committed to ensuring that professional training and quality life of our sailors and the stability of our career force are our first priorities. To this end, no one who has passed their first enlistment or not yet eligible for retirement will be forced out. Reductions in force will be accomplished through voluntary means. We will not become a hollow force. This concern for people is very much in keeping with the example Don Lahata set throughout his career. In these days of budget battles and deficit debates, clearly the best bargain the American taxpayer gets is fine officers like Don Lahata and Jim Welsh. Service above self. I mention that slogan because it is the motto of the International Rotary Club. And for as long as I have known Don Lahata, he has been a Rotarian. When I was Don's engineer, I often thought he went to Rotary meetings just not to come to my department training. But I now know that he has been instrumental in many of the club's outstanding accomplishments and programs. He is currently serving in the distinguished post of president of the local Ruislip Northwood Rotary Club. And as I am sure some of his fellow Rotarians here with us today will attest to, Don's service has been uniformly superb. But moreover, that motto reflects the very essence of Don's naval career, service above self. Since this is also Don's retirement, I would like to briefly review his distinguished career. Don started at the Naval Academy, graduating in June of 1963. Don and Carol were a frequent sight in Annapolis, and I am sure from the many tales they shared with my wife and I, Carol feels that she earned a commission as much as Don did. After completing nuclear power training in sub-school, Don embarked on 17 straight years of sea duty. Today, as a submarine detailer, I often orchestrate career paths that include no more than 3 consecutive years of sea duty. Don and Carol had no such luxury. Don had a green ID card and went where he was told. He earned his gold dolphins on the USS Von Steuben and then moved on to help build the USS Sea Devil, where he completed qualification as chief engineer. Next was the USS Daniel Boone, where as navigator and operations officer, he was instrumental in the successful firing of Poseidon missile during demonstration and shakedown operations. Don was not satisfied with just one department head tour, so he moved on to the USS Sandlands, where he served as nav ops for 2 more years. This was followed by executive officer on the USS Stimson, and finally on to his first of 4 commands, the USS Mario G. Vallejo, SSBN 658. This tour was especially significant for me since I served as Don's chief engineer. Little did he know that his patience and guidance, then with the brash young lieutenant commander who always thought he was right, would make possible my appearance here today. Don, notice I said thought he was right. Vallejo was the first ship for the Henry team of Patty and Joe, and Don and Carol introduced us to wardroom life in fine fashion. Vallejo was a truly spectacular tour for Don. The ship went 8 for 8 in torpedo firings, won the coveted Battle E, in addition to the ASWA, the Communications C, and the Damage Control DC. But this was not all. Under Commander Lahata's leadership, the ship was presented the Atlantic Fleet Ballistic Missile Submarine Outstanding Performance Award for 1979, the pinnacle of SSBN success. Although we were working very hard and long hours to achieve these awards, the captain always made sure that it was not always all work and no play. I particularly remember one especially difficult refit period in Kings Bay, Georgia. The base was just being constructed, the weather was hot, and the bugs were unbearable. About 1600 hours, the captain came into the wardroom and ordered us to accompany him to dinner at the local hotel, the Riverview. That's the only place in Kings Bay that has a restaurant and a tavern connected. That night, the USA played Russia in that historic 1980 Olympic hockey game. Needless to say, after a good dinner, a few cold beers, and viewing that great sports victory on TV, the wardroom was ready to conquer the world and took on the refit with relish. I've often wondered how Don planned that, but then a good captain always has a knack for such things. Vallejo was followed by assignment to Submarine Squadron 14 in Holy Lock. Although the detailers called this shore duty, Don spent more time at sea as Deputy Squadron Commander, Squadron 14, than he did when he was CO of Vallejo. Next came Major Command at Sea, command of the USS Florida, one of our new Trident submarines. Don repeated his performance from the Vallejo, and not only produced a top-notch operational ship, but was on the ComSub PAC retention honor roll for his entire tour. People are our number one asset, and Don Lahada has always known this. After Florida, more command. Don took over training facility at Bangor, Washington, an organization of 500 enlisted and civilian personnel, a budget of $5.6 million, and a yearly student throughput of 26,000 students. This would prepare him well for his future assignment here. But first he served for 2 years as the ComSub Land Representative of the United Kingdom, where he was the main liaison for ComSub Westland and also was accountable for the water space management in northern and eastern Atlantic. Don obviously likes life here in Great Britain, for he agreed readily to his third tour here. On taking command of the United States Naval Activities United Kingdom on May 31st, Don Lahada assumed responsibility for 6 activities and over 5,000 naval personnel and their families. An awesome responsibility, far from his native Chicago. During his 2 years in command here, Captain Lahada has led naval activities through a remarkable period of dynamic change and enhancement of quality of life programs. In an era of austere budgets and declining resources, his accomplishments have been truly spectacular. New movie theater, renovated enlisted club, rehabilitation about the bachelor's quarters, expanded naval exchange facilities, and many, many more improvements which directly affect the lives of our sailors and their families in the United Kingdom. It seems fitting that Don conclude his career in command of support activities that husband the welfare of our most precious resource, the Navy people and their families. I spend a lot of the time on the road visiting Navy people throughout the United States, and I frequently come across Lahada-trained sailors. They all share common traits: pride and professionalism, and a respect for the man who trained them and cared for them. For Captain Jim Welch and his wife Susan, welcome to London. I am sure the London weather does not compare to Hawaii, but I think at least for Jim, this will be overshadowed by living near the birthplace of golf. I had the opportunity to lose on the links a few weeks ago in Hawaii to Jim, and I can readily attest that he is ready for the Scottish courses. Jim Welch brings many other talents besides a long straight drive to command with him. He has commanded 2 ships of the line, the USS Whale and the USS Nevada, both to great success. He is ready to take on his largest and most encompassing naval command. Jim, I wish you well in your new command. Don and Carol, Patty and I truly enjoyed and benefited from starting our Navy life as shipmates with you. We and all in the Navy community who have had the pleasure of serving with you over the last 30 years wish you fair winds and a following sea.
Ladies and gentlemen, Captain Donald M. Lahada, Commander, U.S. Naval Activities, United Kingdom.
Honored guests, I would like to thank you all for coming to join us here today. Many of you have traveled great distances and your journeys are much appreciated. From our friends Karen and Ron Dipple from halfway around the world, to those from 252 steps behind me in the Ricelip Navy housing area. I started by referring only to our honored guests. I did this for two reasons. Firstly, when I introduced the mayor last year, when I introduced Councilor Alf Langley in the true New York fashion as His Honor the Mayor, I was since told that this is not proper English fashion. I decided to avoid the topic this time and manfully skip all mention of formal titles. This includes reference to chief superintendents as chief constables and other such faux pas. Secondly, and more importantly, everyone assembled here is an honored guest, including the true dignitaries who are always recognized, the friends that Carol and I have been honored to meet, the residents and officials of the local community with whom we are trying to form closer relationships, the members of the military and diplomatic community that to naval activities, they are the most important people. Namely, they're our customers, the people we are here to serve. And finally, the men and women of naval activities, a superb staff. You are truly all honored guests, and I thank you for attending. I've been honored and pleased to have held 4 commands over my career. When I left my last tour as commanding officer, I was to go to a staff assignment in Northwood, from which I would be able to quietly retire and move on. The best thing about that is I would not be required to prepare and deliver another change of command speech. Events of the world conspired, and I find myself here again, delivering another speech. I had considered skipping it, but as both my staff and the Rotary members gathered here can attest, I find it difficult to miss an opportunity to stand off and spout out about something. I deeply regret leaving this assignment. First, I feel the job is too good to leave. And second, one never feels that the initiatives which were started but not completed will receive necessary priority and emphasis under a successor. I heard a poem in an Atlantic Fleet Submarine Force change of command speech that brings me back to earth. Sometime when you're feeling important, sometime when your ego's on bloom, sometime when you take it for granted you're the best qualified in the room, sometime when you feel that your going would leave an unfillable hole, just follow this simple instruction and see how it humbles your soul. Take a bucket and fill it with water. Put your hand in it up to the wrist. Pull it out, and the hole that is remaining is a measure of how much you'll be missed. You may splash all you please when you enter. You can stir up the water galore, but stop and you'll find in a minute that it looks quite the same as before. The moral in this quaint example is do just the best that you can and be proud of yourself, but remember, there is no indispensable man. We've had a good time here, and we have accomplished a lot. I'm glad the weather has supported my decision to hold the ceremony here this morning. One of the reasons it was decided to hold the ceremony here at the West Ricelip Complex is to demonstrate the many improvements that have been accomplished and the many that remain. The focus of the staff remains to do the best that can be done for all the sailors and their families, and also the members of the other services and the diplomatic personnel who make use of the services we provide. I feel we have accomplished a great deal in the past few years. I would like to take credit for these accomplishments. I say I would like to, but I can't. In reality, they have been accomplished by a dedicated and hard-working staff. They are truly a superb, superlative group. As I have said many times before, it's easy to have a good command tour. One simply gathers a group of outstanding people, and then you stand back, shut up, and let them do their job. Throughout this tour, I have not been disappointed. We have done well, we have made major improvements, and the stage has been set and procedures started for more improvements in the near future. I know that I leave the reins of command in very capable hands. Jim Welsh is well prepared for this assignment, and you can all expect great things in the future. We would like to stay, but it is time to move on. As Carol said, it's time to go out and earn your pay at a real job. You've been having fun long enough. The 2 changes of command for my submarine commands, I made great show of telling Carol and the assembled audience that I would not be going to sea again, and I would be able to remain at home. The first time I was proved wrong as I received another C assignment. This time I'm proved wrong again, as Carol has convinced me that we really do want to go back to sea as we embark next Saturday to sail back home on Queen Elizabeth II. This time, Carol, going back to sea is not totally my fault. The most difficult thing about leaving this job is that it also means leaving London. Carol and I have thoroughly enjoyed our time here, and we will miss the many friendships we have formed. We have enjoyed the sights, the history, the traditions, and more importantly, the people. Sometimes it has taken a great deal of adaptation on both sides. The many times that the spell checker on my computer refused to recognize the spelling of check, program, and other similar words were gleefully called to my attention by the understanding Rotary Club members. Repeating from another poem, this time plagiarized from my first change of command speech, I feel it expresses the sentiments of both Carol and I. Goodbye is not an ending when you know that people care, for miles may come between you, but warm thoughts are always there. Goodbye is not an ending, for you'll find along life's way, within your heart you'll always have a part of yesterday. As my final act as Commander of Naval Activities, I'd like to thank everyone for a superb ceremony and community reception last night. This exemplifies your efforts in everything over the last 2 years. Kathleen Capps, a delightful, competent young naval officer. She volunteered in the normal Navy fashion. By this I mean the Chief of Staff called her in and stated, "Kathleen, have I got a job for you?" She has done a truly exceptional job in putting it all together. She worked long hours, pulling all the diverse organizations and people together. Jose Henry. Jose is kind of a little in-joke, reminiscent of a long night that Joe spent at a feria in Rota, Spain on a Liberty night. The only word of Spanish he knew was, "Jose!" And it bought him a lot of drinks that night. Needless to say, morning quarters were a bit late. Joe is a former shipmate of mine who flew in yesterday on the Washington Red Eye with the plane arriving late and will fly out tomorrow morning, probably to collapse at his desk on Monday morning. The only thing he had time to do was spend a few hours at the Hamley's toy store to collect a few peace offerings for his children, Shannon and Jody, who really wanted to come along and help him. Chief DeLuna, who has been plotting for a year on how to print a special program for the day. Peter Gregg. When I decided that $3,000 it was going to cost to bring in a Navy van would be put to better use by putting up curtains and blinds in 30 bachelor officer quarter rooms, he stepped up and asked if I would like him to play the pipes. The next thing I knew, he had organized an exceptional pipe band. Lorna, my super secretary, collecting and writing lists, addressing and collating and collecting responses, and so many more jobs. Telling me when to be wearing what. Wait a minute, Joe, I was supposed to give you this. This is when you're going to be picked up this morning. Lorna is also flexible enough to change everything at the last minute. Commander Select Ken Rado, in charge of the formation. Ken is not a line officer, rather he is my do-everything public works engineer, the man singularly responsible for all the facilities improvements and acquisitions we have seen. He looked forward with great trepidation to his position as formation commander. This concern for his ears was eased when we told him he could leave his sword in the scabbard. Jillian Mitchell, who put together the first ever community reception last night. She mother-henned everything. Invitation lists, food, planning, parking, greeting at the door, and all the other things that went along with a very successful evening. I'm not sure about anybody else, but I had a good time. Commander Compitelli held daily script sessions. I thought we were going to go into production with Gone with the Wind. Everything, of course, was destroyed when I changed it all late yesterday afternoon, and I didn't write my remarks until early this morning. In fact, the paper I was carrying in were my remarks that just finished printing out on the computer. I'm truly teaching Larry the meaning of indecision and flexibility. Everyone has stepped forward with ideas and enthusiasm to make their aspects of today the very best, and I thank you all for it very much. Cheryl Camp for the reception, the marquee, the neat little gatehouse that we'll go through later, and everything else she has done. Master Chief Jose in the middle of everything, directing traffic, handling hanging bunting, building shadow boxes, the photographers taking the videos. I regret that in this litany I am missing so many people who have done so much, both this day as well as throughout my command tour. I thank you all, particularly those whose names I have not mentioned, mainly due to time constraints. I will now read my orders.
Staff, attend. Hut.
UPERS Order Number 3032 to Captain Donald Martin Lahada, United States Navy. When directed by Reporting Senior, detach in June 1993 from Naval Activities, United Kingdom, London. You will be transferred to the retired list effective 1 July 1993. Signed, R.J. Zlatiper, Vice Admiral, United States Navy, Chief of Naval Personnel. Captain Welch, I'm ready to be relieved.
Ladies and gentlemen, Captain James E. Welsh.
I will now read my orders. UPERS Order Number 0533 to Captain James Edward Welsh, United States Navy. When directed by Reporting Senior, detached from duty on the staff of Commander Submarine Forces, Pacific Fleet, Pearl Harbor, Hawaii. Report to Commander, Naval Activities, United Kingdom, London for duty as his relief. Signed, R.J. Zlatiper, Vice Admiral, United States Navy, Chief of Naval Personnel.
Captain Lahada, I relieve you, sir.
Ladies and gentlemen, Captain James E. Welsh, Commander, U.S. Naval Activities, United Kingdom.
Good morning. I would like to take this opportunity to echo Captain Lahada and offer my personal appreciation for all of your presence here, honoring us on a very special occasion. I would particularly like to thank Captain Henry, who did come quite a long way to present the featured remarks this morning. I would also like to offer my personal congratulations to Captain Lahada on the completion of a truly superb naval career, and wish him and Carol the very best in all their future endeavors. Thank you all very much.
We will now ask Captain Lahada's wife, Carol, to please join us up here on the stage. I'd like to ask Captain Henry to come forward to make a presentation of the Legion of Merit Medal to Captain Lahada. Staff, attend. Hut.
Captain Don M. Lahada, United States Navy, for services set forth in the following citation. For exceptional meritorious conduct in the performance of outstanding service as the Commander, United States Naval Activities, United Kingdom, from May 1991 through June 1993. Captain Lahada achieved sustained superlative performance while directing highly complex base and area support operations. Wide experience gained from previous afloat and shore commands was superbly applied to an activity well known for its geographic and mission diversity. He was immediate superior in command for 6 disparate commands, providing an array of services. He was area coordinator for over 5,000 personnel assigned to activities throughout the United Kingdom and Northern Europe. He was host for over 30 tenant commands in London. All areas were served by his outstanding husbandry of staff and project resources combined with polished leadership. Captain Lahada originated and superintended vast improvements in the facilities and support programs, significantly enhancing quality of life for Navy and Marine Corps community in the United Kingdom. By his outstanding leadership, innovative management of processes, and inspiring devotion to duty, Captain Lahada reflected great credit upon himself and upheld the highest traditions of the United States Naval Service. For the President, Admiral Frank B. Kelso, Acting Secretary of the Navy. This is also Don's retirement. We have a certificate of retirement form. I'd like to read that. Certificate of Retirement from the Armed Forces of the United States of America. To all who shall see these presents greetings. This is to certify that Captain Donald M. Lahada, having served faithfully and honorably, was retired from the United States Navy on the 1st of July, 1993. Signed, R.J. Zlatibur, Vice Admiral, United States Navy, Chief of Naval Personnel.
And now, Captain Welsh will present Carol with a certificate of appreciation. Certificate of appreciation from the United States Navy to all who shall see these presents. Greeting. This is to certify that Carol Lahada has earned grateful appreciation for her unselfish, faithful, and devoted service during her husband's naval career. Her unfailing support and understanding helped to make possible her husband's lasting contribution to the nation. Given this 26th day of June, signed E.W. Clexton, Vice Admiral, Deputy Commander-in-Chief, U.S. Naval Forces, Europe. The men and women of Naval Activities United Kingdom present this flag and award display case as a small token of our appreciation. It is a traditional retirement gift and contains insignia, awards, and command pins earned and worn by Captain Lahada during his naval career. In addition, the American flag contained in the box is a special flag, having been flown from the USS Arizona, Pearl Harbor, Hawaii on December 7, 1986. Ladies and gentlemen, our Command Master Chief Jose,
ComNavAct UK would like to present you with
the proverbial gold
My
watch.
official gold watch. Time to pack it in and go home. I'd like to thank all of you very much. I deeply appreciate all these, and I imagine you must have gotten some hints from Carol, but we've been looking for a new watch. And it's also the analog type, which makes it easy for these old eyes to pick. I've been having difficulty reading the digitals recently. So thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Will the guests please rise for the retiring of the colors and remain standing for the benediction and the departing honors. Staff, attend, put. Retire the colors.
Right, turn. Forward.
see your servants, Captain Welsh and Captain Lahada, look to you with grateful hearts and in thanksgiving for the guidance you have given them. We ask that this guidance continue with Captain Welsh as he now assumes his new and awesome responsibilities as Commander, United States Naval Activities, United Kingdom. We ask your blessing for Captain Lahada and his family, knowing that there can be no greater moment of pride than in achievement. There can be no moment of sadness when victory and great success crown the endeavors of this man, whose intelligence, courage, and strength promise a future of even greater service, achievement, and fulfillment. May we all share in your blessing, now and always. Amen.
Retirement side boys, post. Ladies and gentlemen, please allow me to explain the different evolutions of the traditional piping over the side ceremony that you are about to witness. The use of gongs is still in practice in the U.S. Navy today. They are used to alert the crew when a ship's commanding officer returns or departs the ship, and also to signal the arrival and departure of distinguished visitors. The whistle or bosun's pipe used in the ceremony is one of the oldest and most distinctive articles of personal nautical equipment. The pipe or flute was used in the days of antiquity to aid galley slaves in keeping in stroke. Later in the days of sailing ships, it was used to give orders to those up in the rigging of the ship. Lining the side with side boys also originated a long time ago. In the days of sailing ships, it was customary to hold conferences on flagships along with inviting officers from other ships on board for dinner. Occasionally, the weather was such that an accommodation ladder could not be used and the arriving officers had to be hoisted aboard. Members of the crew did the hoisting, and a bosun's pipe was used to give orders to hoist away and vast heaving. It was from this procedure that the custom of piping the side originated. Today, the custom is such that the higher the rank of the officer, the higher the number of side boys. It is thought that this originated from the fact that in the olden days, higher ranking officers usually weighed more and thus needed more side boys. This morning's piping will be used to symbolize Captain Lahada's departure from active service in the United States Navy and his return to civilian life. Captain, United States Navy, retired, departing. Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes this morning's ceremony. Would you please remain in place until all the distinguished guests have been escorted from the area? You are all cordially invited to attend the reception, which will begin immediately. The reception will be held under the marquee on the playing field opposite the main gate. Please join us in a short walk over to the reception area, where refreshments will be served and where Captain Lahada and Captain Welsh request that you join them in the cutting of the cake. Thank you very much for attending this morning. Staff, dismissed.
bring them next time. You know, we got a 4-bedroom house over here, so we're gonna do a sync up clap here.
Okay, you want to carry that one to the executive? Oh, you got to.
I gotta, huh?
You got to go, right?
I gotta go, yeah. But
Okay.
I'm gonna go. I gotta give this camera back to somebody anyway. So.
Okay, just let me have the film.
Yeah, we'll get there right here. Okay, Heather, get in front of it.
Going over to the-
Okay, she's gonna do a sync up clap. Ready? Get your hands in front of the lens so that you can, but turn around so that he can see you too as well.
No, go ahead. I'll get you.
All right, ready? Turn around so that make sure your hands are in that one.
Yep.
All right, go ahead. This is a slate. Do one. Just clap really hard. Good. Do another one. That's good. Okay. Let it roll a little bit. You stop it yet?
Yeah.